Rising fuel prices in Jordan have provoked more protests and calls for the downfall of the monarchy. Demonstrators are angry with the government's decision to remove energy subsidies, forcing up prices. The government says it needs to make savings, and the Chief of Public Security says he'll use an iron fist against anyone threatening state security.
Huge increases in fuel prices have brought hundreds out to protest on the streets of Jordan. The government has withdrawn fuel subsidies in a bid to tackle the country's $3.5 billion budget deficit. Domestic gas will now cost 50% more, and people aren't happy. The price hikes were a shock for the Jordanian people, she says. This will starve us. This is the first time I've come out to protest, but everyone's doing it because we're against what's happening. This is our country, he says, and we're not able to feed our children or keep our homes warm, yet corrupt individuals are living in luxury. Petrol stations are thronged with cars trying to fill up before prices go up on Wednesday. Jordan hopes the subsidy cuts will show its commitment to fiscal management and win points from the IMF.
But the slogans being chanted by these anti-government demonstrators are critical of the King's administration. These protests have been mirrored in Jordan's provincial towns. They were sparked by a government decision to remove subsidies on fuel. As a result, the price of household cooking gas has gone up by more than 50%, the price of diesel by a third.
Our main demand is the lowering of prices. They increase the prices of fuel, and this affects the entire Jordanian people. The people are exhausted. They can't stand the situation anymore. The people here are fuming with anger.
Earlier, a huge demonstration in Amman. Some protesters called for the downfall of King Abdullah, a very rare occurrence in Jordan and one punishable by up to 3 years in jail. The government says the removal of fuel subsidies is essential to help reduce a large budget deficit and secure a $2 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund. But with such strong opposition challenging the government head-on, the political price is proving to be a high one.
There are still some demonstrators milling around here. The security force is in place as well, trying to make sure the crowd does not gather up once again. We were hearing chants against the king. We were hearing chants for the downfall of the regime. But what was interesting was that when those who were on stage were calling for that, not all of the crowd was responding. The crowd would really get heated up when it was calls for economic reforms, for an end to the price hike that we most recently saw the government take when it came to increasing fuel and cooking gas prices, and also when it came to calls for government reforms. One woman we were speaking to was saying that she wanted to see a democratically elected government with a democratically elected prime minister and parliament members. But many Jordanians who we are talking to are increasingly concerned about the future of their country, about this growing wave of anger, because Jordanians for 2 years now have been demonstrating, demanding economic and political reforms and an end to corruption. This most recent price hike, most certainly many say, is threatening to push the country over the edge. The government, for its part, has said that it was forced to take this tough decision, but people are really believing that they are the ones paying for the government's mistakes, and there are calls for even more demonstrations in the days to come.